Welcome back to another episode of the Divided States of America show. I'm your host, Marlon Gardenera, and today will be the shortest episode ever. It's a very simple question. Why do you support Donald Trump? We'll talk about that briefly on today's show.
Welcome to the Divided States of America show, where your host, Marlon Gardenera, takes on the most divisive issues in our divided nation. We'll sort through the best and worst of politics and culture, asking questions and looking for answers that our two-ring, two-party circus has failed to provide. And here is your host, Marlon Gardenera.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in to today's Divided States of America show. Again, it's going to be a short one because the question for today is very simple. The answer hopefully will come in two parts. So the question, again, why do you support Donald Trump? This stems from the show yesterday. I posted several polls and responded to a few comments about support for Donald Trump, and more specifically about his approval rating going down. Not according to me. I don't gather news or conduct polls. I did a very simple search, Trump approval ratings. I also searched for Biden approval ratings. I talked about both of those as publicized by a number of outlets yesterday. One of the polls we talked about was conducted by NBC and the Wall Street Journal. My understanding, unless something has changed, Rupert Murdoch still owns the Wall Street Journal, and he also owns Fox News. So I can't say I was taken aback by the responses that we received in our Facebook group. You must check it out, facebook.com/the DSA show. But the sheer volume of responses and the tenor in which many of the people were responding and talking was very clear. Over 1,300 responses, 852 plus comments. I can tell you the comments go on and on and on. I do my very best to respond to as many as possible. You understand the concept of this show. We take on divisive issues in our divided nation, and we're looking to have thoughtful, respectful conversations about those issues. So when you say to people that Trump's approval rating is down, this is what you get. In all, about 2,000 interactions. I would say it's probably on social media, on this particular post, 3-1 in support for Donald Trump. Lo and behold, we wake up this morning and the New York Times has a new poll out. The headline of their story, Trump support remains unmoved by investigations, poll finds. Now, I want to draw the distinction between the show yesterday, where we talked about Trump's approval rating, which is down. 54%, and I don't have the graph, I believe it was 54% of people do not approve of Donald Trump, 36% do. That is one of the lowest numbers he's had in some time. People were asking, why does it matter what Trump's approval rating is? He's not president, he's not running for president. Well, there's certainly a speculation he may run. There is no question he is one of the most dominant political figures in America. He's still seen as a prominent figure, if not the leader of the Republican Party, although we also discussed yesterday that there has been a widening in the gap between the GOP and Trump, only in that of people polled. A number of them said they support Donald Trump, and a larger group supported the Republican Party. The gap between the two is widening, and one has to presume or speculate it's likely because the support for Trump is dropping for some people. Now, that isn't the case for actual Trump supporters. So please understand the distinction. Overall, his approval rating, and you can do the search yourself. I don't know how many people said fake news. I don't know how many people said we were making that up. I can assure you I didn't make it up. You can do the search yourself. Go to Trump approval rating and see for yourself what is being reported. But the number of people who supported Trump before versus now is unchanged. They're not moved. The Mar-a-Lago investigation, the documents, whether he classified them or not, whether the Espionage Act was violated, whether there was obstruction of justice, whether his lawyers said he had documents he didn't have, isn't moving Trump supporters. The January 6th investigation, the potential threat to democracy, if in fact he expected Vice President Pence to change the outcome of the election, to not allow the certification to happen, if his supporters had been successful and stopped it as they went to the Capitol on the day the election certification was supposed to happen, not moving Trump supporters. The Georgia investigation on the Trump administration's effort and his aides' effort to reverse the outcome in Georgia, not moving them. The Manhattan criminal investigation that sent his CFO to settle and plead to 15 felony counts, not moving them. And the lawsuit yesterday by the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, against Trump and his 3 children and his company for fraud, not moving them. The American public's view of former President Donald Trump has remained remarkably stable across a number of different measures in recent months, even as he faces those multiple investigations and as he remains the central figure in the midterm elections, according to the most recent New York Times Siena College poll. Why is the question? And I said it's in 2 parts for this simple reason. There are nearly 1,000 people letting me know what they think on social media. What I want to hear from are Trump supporters on air. Respectful, thoughtful conversation. I don't have to take a side. I simply want to hear from Trump supporters. I don't need to hear about all of the reasons you hate him. That's not the point of the show. Tomorrow's episode number 51, will be purely about support for Donald Trump and why. Now, there's a potential that we'll have a number of people who will gladly stand up and speak up for what he believes. We'll ask a few questions. We'll interact. Again, thoughtful, respectful conversations. Or we'll have absolute silence. Because up to this point, I've had a hard time getting Trump supporters to stand behind the things that the divided states has questions about. It won't be a debate. Nobody will be under the microscope. We want to hear from you. So, today's episode is over because the question has been asked. Part 2 of it we'll address Friday, September, 23rd, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. You know you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I look forward to your responses. I look forward to your, explanation for supporting Donald Trump. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully we'll have a good one.